What would you do to escape justice? For Tatsuya Ichihashi, the answer was unthinkable. He mutilated his own face. He cut off moles with scissors, stitched his lips into a new shape, and even attempted to reshape his nose. All in a desperate bid to remain unrecognizable. But it didn't stop there. He underwent professional plastic surgeries, transforming himself into someone entirely new. This is the twisted and haunting story of a fugitive willing to destroy his own identity to hide from the truth. Stay with us as we unravel the chilling case of Lindsay Hawker and the man who changed his face but couldn't erase his crimes. It was a crime that horrified two nations and shattered countless lives. Today, we delve into the haunting case of Lindsay Hawker, the young British teacher whose life was cut tragically short in Japan. But before the darkness unfolded, let us first honor who Lindsay was: her dreams, her ambitions, and the adventurous spirit that led her thousands of miles from home. Lindsay Ann Hawker was born on December 30, 1984, in Coventry, England. From a young age, she was described by friends and family as bright, kind, and endlessly curious about the world around her. Her academic journey was as impressive as her personality. After excelling through school, she pursued a degree in biology at the prestigious University of Leeds, graduating with first-class honors in 2006. But Lindsay was not just a scholar, she was a dreamer. Before committing to a master's degree, she made a life-changing decision: to take a gap year and explore the world. Her wanderlust eventually led her to Japan, a land of contrasts where ancient traditions meet modern innovation. Moving to Tokyo was both thrilling and challenging. Lindsay quickly adapted to Japanese life, immersing herself in its vibrant culture, historical landmarks, and energetic nightlife. She worked as an English teacher at Nova, Japan's largest private language school, where her students admired her warm teaching style and approachable nature. Although thousands of miles from home, Lindsay never lost touch with her family. They often connected through video calls and heartfelt messages. She had a boyfriend back in England and a wide circle of friends who cherished her. Life in Japan seemed full of promise for Lindsay until March 2007, when fate intervened in the most sinister way. It was the evening of March 20, 2007. Lindsay was heading home after work, completely unaware that she was being followed. As she reached Chiba Station to collect her bicycle, a man approached her from behind. "You are my English teacher," the man said with a strange persistence. Lindsay was immediately confused. She knew her students well, and this man was not one of them. Despite her polite attempts to distance herself, the man Tatsuya Ichihashi refused to back off. He ran alongside her bicycle, bombarding her with questions. It was the beginning of a nightmare that Lindsay couldn't have imagined. On March 24, 2007, Lindsay met Tatsuya Ichihashi at a coffee shop in Chiba for their scheduled English lesson. The bustling cafe was filled with the usual clinking of cups and soft chatter, masking the sinister undertones of what was about to unfold. Surveillance footage captured the two sitting at a small table. Lindsay appeared composed, maintaining a polite distance. Her body language suggested caution, but she remained professional. After about an hour, the lesson came to a close. Ichihashi casually mentioned that he had forgotten his wallet at home and offered to retrieve it so he could pay her. Lindsay hesitated. The situation felt off, but not wanting to make a scene, she reluctantly agreed. The two took a short taxi ride to his apartment complex. Before stepping out, Lindsay made a crucial but hauntingly futile decision. She asked the taxi driver to wait for her outside. She promised it would only take a few minutes. Lindsay followed Ichihashi up the narrow stairwell to his apartment. The door creaked as it opened, revealing a sparsely furnished space with minimal lighting. The atmosphere was heavy, unsettling. As the door closed behind her, an eerie silence settled in. Minutes turned into agonizing stretches of time. Outside, the taxi driver waited, and waited. After what felt like too long, the driver assumed that Lindsay had changed her mind and driven off, a decision that would forever haunt the investigation. When Lindsay failed to show up for work the next day, her friends grew concerned. She was reliable, punctual, and never missed a class without notifying someone. By March 26, Lindsay's housemates and colleagues contacted the police, reporting her missing. The authorities immediately launched an investigation. Her friends mentioned the strange man she had recently agreed to meet. The key clue that turned the case was a simple sketch, a drawing of Lindsay that Ichihashi had left behind when they first met. 2 officers were dispatched to his apartment in Chiba. No one answered the door. But as they peered over the balcony with help from neighbors, they noticed something unusual. A bathtub had been dragged onto the balcony, filled with sand. Something was buried inside. Backup was called, and officers prepared to enter. Just as they were about to break down the door, it swung open. A moment of stunned silence passed before Tatsuya Ichihashi bolted through the entrance, shoving past the officers and vanishing into the night. Inside the apartment, the scene was beyond comprehension. Lindsay's lifeless body was found bound and gagged. Her hair had been shaved off, and Ichihashi had attempted to cover her remains with a decomposing agent and flower seeds, disguising the bathtub as a planter. It was a discovery that sent shockwaves through both Japan and the UK. The manhunt for Tatsuya Ichihashi had officially begun. Tatsuya Ichihashi vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of horror. For the next 2 years and 7 months, he managed to evade one of the largest manhunts in Japanese history. At first, Ichihashi relied on urban anonymity. He moved from one internet cafe to another, places where no identification was required, to rent a small booth with just a computer and a mattress. These cafes became his temporary hideouts, where he could sleep, eat instant noodles, and remain invisible to society. But as media coverage of the case intensified, staying in the city became too risky. Ichihashi took on low-paying construction jobs in rural areas, living in makeshift shelters and abandoned bunkers. His obsession with avoiding capture led him down a path of self-mutilation that was both bizarre and disturbing. Desperate to change his appearance, Ichihashi attempted DIY surgeries on himself. Using scissors, he cut off moles from his face. He pinched and stitched parts of his lips together in an effort to alter their shape. He even tried reshaping his nose by sewing sections of skin. Despite these crude efforts, his appearance remained somewhat recognizable. Eventually, Ichihashi saved enough money for professional plastic surgery. He traveled to Nagoya, where he underwent procedures to further alter his face. By this time, police had released digitally altered images predicting his potential new appearance. These images would prove to be crucial. In November 2009, Ichihashi visited a clinic for additional surgery. The doctor recognized his resemblance to the police sketches and discreetly contacted the authorities. As Ichihashi left the clinic, plainclothes officers closed in on him. He tried to run but was quickly subdued. After years of living as a fugitive, his run had come to an end. On November 10, 2009, the man responsible for Lindsay Hawker's death was finally in custody. The trial of Tatsuya Ichihashi began in 2011. He pled guilty to charges of assault, unlawful confinement, and causing death. Lindsay's family, who had tirelessly campaigned for justice, attended the trial with heavy hearts. Despite their plea for the death penalty, the court sentenced Ichihashi to life imprisonment. Though justice was served, nothing could undo the pain and loss caused by Ichihashi's actions. Lindsay Hawker's family turned their grief into advocacy, raising awareness about personal safety and supporting victims' families. Her story stands as a haunting reminder of the dangers lurking beneath seemingly harmless encounters. May Lindsay Hawker rest in peace, and may her memory continue to inspire caution and resilience. For Lindsay's family, the news of her death was a devastating blow. Her parents, Bill and Julia Hawker, were thrust into an unimaginable nightmare, one that no parent should ever face. Lindsay was not just their brilliant daughter, she was their pride, their joy, and their constant source of laughter. Her sudden loss left a void that could never be filled. Bill Hawker, her father, described the agonizing moment when he first heard the news. "It's a pain that never truly goes away," he later said in interviews. "We wake up every day thinking of Lindsay, wishing she was still here." But instead of succumbing to despair, the Hawker family chose to channel their grief into a relentless pursuit of justice. They traveled back and forth between the UK and Japan, working closely with the Japanese police and media to keep Lindsay's case in the public eye. They stood before cameras, pleading for Ichihashi's capture, even as their hearts ached with sorrow. Julia Hawker, her mother, spoke about the strength they drew from the memory of their daughter. "Lindsay was brave and kind. We have to be brave for her," she said. Lindsay's murder sent shockwaves through both Japan and the United Kingdom. The crime was unprecedented in Japan, a country known for its low crime rate and relative safety. Japanese society, where acts of violence against foreigners were rare, was forced to confront a chilling reality: even in a seemingly safe environment, dangers could lurk in the shadows. The case sparked widespread debate about personal safety, especially for foreign women living in Japan. English teachers and expatriates were urged to be more cautious, with language schools implementing stricter safety protocols. It also led to discussions about Japan's legal system and the challenges in capturing fugitives. Many questioned how someone like Ichihashi could remain hidden for over 2 years despite extensive efforts by the police. In the UK, Lindsay's death highlighted the vulnerability of young people traveling abroad. Her family worked to raise awareness about the importance of safety precautions for international travelers. In the years following Ichihashi's capture and sentencing, Bill Hawker made a solemn promise to keep Lindsay's memory alive and ensure that her story would not be forgotten. "Lindsay had a beautiful life ahead of her," he said. "If telling her story can save just one life, then that's what we'll do. The haunting case of Lindsay Hawker serves as a reminder that evil can strike when least expected, but it also stands as a testament to the strength of a family who refused to let her memory fade. The story of Lindsay Hawker is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers that can exist even in places we believe to be safe. But it's also a story that offers valuable lessons not just for travelers, but for all of us. First and foremost, trust your instincts. Lindsay was a kind and trusting person, but she hesitated during her encounter with Tatsuya Ichihashi. If a situation or a person makes you feel uneasy, it's okay to say no and walk away. Second, always communicate your plans to someone you trust. Let them know where you're going and who you're meeting. Simple precautions can be life-saving. And third, never underestimate the importance of community awareness. It was the vigilance of a doctor who recognized Ichihashi that led to his capture. Staying alert and reporting suspicious activity can make a difference. To all our viewers, we share Lindsay's story not to create fear but to inspire awareness and resilience. Life is beautiful and full of wonder, but we must navigate it with caution and wisdom. If you or someone you know ever feels unsafe or needs help, don't hesitate to reach out to trusted authorities or loved ones. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the case of Lindsay Hawker. Her story is one that must never be forgotten. If this video moved you or taught you something valuable, please consider helping us spread her story. Like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories that uncover the truth and honor the memories of those we've lost. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next video.